Toastmasters and guests. It was my turn today to let the chickens out of the coop this morning. Went outside. Even before I could open the door to the enclosure, I could hear them screaming from inside. Buck, 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 buck. And I'm not exaggerating. Chickens are divas, and anytime they're upset or they're even less than pleased, they'll sound like a room full of toddlers going, "It's not fair." Now I'm coming in. They can see me through the window, so they know I'm there, and they're not pretending nothing. They've been cooped up all night, so they're hungry. But before I can let them out, obviously, I have to make sure they have enough food. I have to make sure that their water is clean and topped off. So I feed, check, bowl, check, water, check. Finally, I make sure everything's well arranged so they can be accessed by multiple patrons at one time. Finally, at the countdown, 3, 2, 1, I yank open the door, and out stumbles all 6 chickens, stumbling down the ramp, still fetching wildly, coming out of the coop, into the enclosure, running right past the food and water, and running outside to scratch at the ground and look for bugs. Thanks a lot. All right. Later, I come back during the later part of the day to check for eggs and look at their food and water. Looks like their food is a bit low. I go back into the house, change out of my garden shoes into my sneakers so I don't slip and slide, go into the kitchen, go to the feed bowl, grab a big scoop of fine meal that we have taken a lot of time to ground by hand, go back outside, take off my sneakers, put on my garden shoes, go back to the enclosure, go back into the coop, and pour the feed into the bowl. A couple of chickens seem really excited that I'm out there, and they come running over, except they don't want food. All of a sudden, they want water. They come running over. They try to squeeze past me. In doing so, one of them decides they're going to step into the bowl of feed, knocking it over and spilling probably about 15 minutes worth of ground meal out of the bowl. All right, lovely. Back to the house, remove my garden shoes, put on my sneakers, go into the kitchen, get a scoop from the feed bin, scoop it up, go outside, put on my garden shoes, go into the back of the enclosure, pour the feed into the bowl, and you know what? I think this time I'm going to put the feed into the chicken run instead. There's a lot more room in there. So go back out of the enclosure, go around, go into the run. I have to duck down rather low because the chicken run is made for 12-inch high chickens, not for a 5-foot something human being. I duck down, I go into the bowl, I find the flattest bit of earth possible, put the bowl down, straighten back up, forgetting about the ceiling, bash my head on the ceiling, let out a nice mature word loud enough for the next door neighbor's kids to hear, and manage to get out of the chicken run. Go back into the enclosure. Looks like the water bowl's a bit low too. I bring the bowl outside, I go to the hose, I scrub it off, I refill it, bring it back inside, once stooping over, putting it back down on the ground, getting back up again, bashing my head onto a part of the coop for about 8 times this year, something I developed from a learning disability I got some years ago, and again let out another mature curse word loud enough for the neighbors' kids to hear. Later, it's time to lock up the chickens for the night. I went to the enclosure. I made sure they had enough food for the next day. I made sure that their water was full and clean. I found that 3 of the chickens had gone to bed, but 3 of the others were still outside the coop in the enclosure. One was pecking around the dirt and 2 were finishing up eating. I pick up, who is it? I think it was Tintin. I pick up Tintin and I take her over to the coop. I raise the hatch, plunk her back inside, and go back for the next chicken. I see Adel, who's finished her food. Now she's wandering around. I scoop up Adel, go back, I turn around, and there's Tintin, who has somehow managed to jump off of the second story of the coop on the ground and is making a run for the run. I plunk Adel back down on top of the thing, go manage to grab Tintin before she could run through this tiny portal I would barely be able to fit my head into and escape into the run. I grab her while she's protesting, plunk her back into the coop, grab Tintin, who's still standing on top of the door, plunk her into the coop. All right, one more chicken to go. I go get Nina, who has somehow managed to wedge herself into the furthest and almost unreachable corner of the bottom of the coop. So I gingerly reach down and have to put in one arm and very awkwardly but gently coach her over to where I can reach her because I am way too out of shape for gymnastics and it is getting late. Finally managed to nudge her over, pick her up, turn around. Tintin has managed to again jump up on top of the coop and is about to make a run for it. So I just take Nina, use her as a shovel to shove Abel back into the coop, managed to finally get the latch closed, triumphantly close the door to the coop and lock it, get up, walk away without managing to bash my head on everything, take a step forward and right into the water bowl. Thank you.